Welcome, Rajiv. Good to have you on our webinar series. A brief introduction about yourself.
I'm Rajiv, almost like 20 plus years of experience in the industry. And for the last 10 years, I'm working with IBM in the area of strategy and transformation. So in IBM, I'm helping a lot of clients across the globe in their digital transformation. Right now, as of now, we are enabling them to ride the cloud wave, what we call it, the chapter 2 of the digital transformation. The chapter 1, a lot of experimentation is happening, but in the chapter 2, I'm helping a lot of the clients embrace the so-called exponential technologies, the cloud, the automation, the blockchain, the AI, and all this MLs and all the stuff. So that's happening. And I work in multifunctional areas and for multiple industries. Of course, I did work in the pharma and healthcare sector, and also in the fintechs and the banking, and as well as also right now I'm helping one of the telecom companies. Yeah. So in addition to what I'm doing for my clients on behalf of IBM, now in addition to that, I'm also well connected with the startup ecosystem in and around the NCR in the Delhi region. So I do talk with a lot of budding entrepreneurs. And I also work with a lot of, in terms of mentorship to some of the promising startups, some promising entrepreneurs also.
Great, Rajiv. Good to have you. Webinar will be structured more on the startup health tech sector because you bring a strong expertise in digital transformation and digital innovation. What does it mean in general and more specific to health tech sector?
Today, when we are talking about this, any digital transformation, anything, the world where we are sitting is a COVID crisis. Now the world got dramatically changed, right? We are talking about the new normal, the post-COVID world. And what this COVID-19 has endangered is not just a healthcare crisis, but primarily it's a imminent restructuring of the entire global economics, the entire way actually. The consumer shift, the change of the behavior of the consumer, the tectonic shift is going to happen going forward. And now going back, you see, for a lot of our clients, we have been talking about digital transformation that's going on, but it's a shock. And I'm sure for some of the large companies now, they will accelerate their digital transformation programs. Now, one thing is quite certain that we understand that the entire global healthcare infrastructure is not sufficient to cope up with this kind of crisis. It's a blatantly, it's become evident. So in the post-COVID world, dramatic changes are going to happen in this healthcare segment, no doubt. And today's world, all the companies worth its salt is a technology company. And technology has to play a dramatic role in this healthcare segment. So eventually changing the customer behavior, the consumer preferences. So going forward, I'm presuming myself or you or anyone may not be willing to go to a hospital and stand in a long queue. So prima facie, I believe a lot of diagnostics can happen while sitting at home itself, just to meet a doctor. Right. And the telemedicine that we've been talking for a long time, I think this is the time when things should actually get jacked up. Right. So I was giving an example, one of my relatives who generally has to go for the blood tests and consult the doctors on a regular basis. And he's not a digital savvy person, but given this situation, he too went to the 1mg site and registered himself and got the diagnostic center come and take his blood sample. And the result was sent to him online and also to some doctors. And through Practo, his doctor was not available through Practo, he can select the doctor and all the consultation, everything has been done while sitting at home, right? So that's what I'm saying, how the consumer behaviors are also changing and going by. And then again, it's just the beginning of the whole thing. Right. Dramatic changes definitely will come.
Yeah. So in terms of digital transformation and innovation, which are the areas you think are happening?
Now, it all starts with the consumer or the client or the customer experience at the center of the whole exercise. Now, consumer, the client, or in this case, the patients, they are at the nucleus of the whole activity that happens. So undoubtedly, it's the customer comes first, one. Second, you see a lot of new platforms or business platforms are coming up today. Now, where in those platforms, a lot of doctors are there. Now, in those platforms, and again, it has to be doctor-centric. So you see, now depending on the situation to situation, the consumer comes first, the consumer comes first, in some cases the patients, some cases the doctors. Now, again, it's an ecosystem play, depending on the situation, who works, and again, it's the multiple stakeholders are involved. So the entire business processes, so-called the intelligent processes, the workflows have to be centered around the user in the mind. So that remains, because you see, at the end of the day, technology, all this, the medicine, diagnostics, all come together, but at the end of the day, it's all about the human-centric way. It's all about the users, whether it's patient or the doctors or maybe the caregivers in us. So human beings come into picture first. So that's how it how it works. So having said that, I think few other points let me also highlight. Now, while that is also one of the user centricity is one of the critical points in any digital transformation. Now, a few other things that are happening, and I mentioned about the platforms.
Right.
Now, I mentioned, Practo is one of the things, but now that also again, given this COVID crisis, it shows how many limited platforms we have in our country right now, and also globally.
Right.
And the whole world is moving towards the so-called the Uberization, the Amazonization of the world. So a lot of creation, large platforms, and there's tremendous opportunity having the platform, tremendous opportunity having the ecosystem. So that's one. About the second is the business platforms. And the third, maybe because I'm from IPM, and we believe it's all about cloud-centric. Right. Now, today, I can sit here and I can see my diagnostic report, whether I'm here or going to Kolkata or in New York or in... Now, it's all because of the cloud. Right. And we know, of course, in healthcare, a lot of regulations and all these things are there. Now, those challenges, I'm sure, will get addressed in the post-COVID world. Now, cloud or the technology is one of the important things where all the healthcare data, everything can go to the cloud. Now, today, forget about the hospitals. A lot of large companies also not in the healthcare. Now, we believe that 20-25% of their workloads are in the cloud. But we expect a lot of the mission critical information ideally should go to the cloud. That gives that it becomes it's not a work from home, but it's work from anywhere. Right. So whether the doctor is in San Francisco or is in Melbourne, so getting the patient data, getting the access of those doctors and all those things. So it's a cloud. It's a so-called the journey to the cloud for the entire healthcare ecosystem is also one of the critical things. Great. So a few things. It's all about the user centricity, creation of the business platforms, and it's a cloud-led transformation or the cloud-led disruption of the whole healthcare industry, I do believe, should happen.
Specific to Indian context, right? Healthcare space and health tech space. What are the opportunities you see emerging post COVID-19?
Yeah, so a few things. Now, one, again, in India is a very heterogeneous society. When we are in Delhi or in Gurgaon, very rich people are there. They want everything at the tap of their mobile device. They want some iOS applications or some Android applications. You see recently all this Google and Apple, they have collaborated using Bluetooth technology. So a lot of those things, high-end technology things can happen. That's one part. But the second, what is most important, what I believe is the telemedicine part of it, addressing the rural population. Right. And a lot of innovation needs to be done in that segment, I believe. And I think the opportunity or the transformation has to happen in the bottom of the pyramid part. Now, how to embrace those people in the rural segment, embracing technology, how technology can be actually used for the mankind. So that's one of the, I think, critical opportunity areas given this crisis situation, I believe. So that's
okay. Yeah, great, Rajiv. So if you look into Indian context, again, in terms of healthcare, you see both government as well as private sector playing active role in this sector. How do you see the transformation coming in this space?
In the Indian context, the healthcare still remains government, primarily government, I think I should say managed. Now, you see in the hospitals in Delhi, even if I see, though there are some islands of some, if I take the names of maybe the Max or the Fortis or maybe Apollo Indraprasto, but still, if you go to AIIMS in Delhi or if you go to Safdarjung, and the huge bulk of patients are there. Right. So as of now, unfortunately, the private healthcare segment, and also there have been challenges in Fortis, a lot of promises were there, but unfortunately things have not picked up in the private sector. Right. So my view is that one, in today's situation, of course, government is playing an extremely important role, dramatic role in the healthcare, in terms of healthcare delivery. Right. Now, private sector should have done or could have done a lot of stuff, of course, with a lot of government interventions and support, but unfortunately that has not happened. Right. But going forward, I think this thing has to change. This thing, the government has to play a dramatic role in enabling the private sector in providing the healthcare in terms of providing the innovations in the healthcare, providing the delivery, and of course, reaching out to the millions across the towns and villages across India. I think that's the view. And while doing that, I think again and again, the technology has to play a dramatic role. Right. Now, again, how the healthcare thing happens now, the tertiary healthcare sector, the primary, secondary. Now, it may not be possible to reach out to the furthest part of the India now. The technology has to play a role. And suppose a village can come to maybe a digital healthcare sector, and from there that there could be telemedicine centers to the others. So that way something has to be done rather than in order to address.
Post-COVID, globally, what are we going to see?
The technology can play a role in terms of the healthcare delivery. Few things now. Let me not name a large pharma giant. Now they mentioned, I've been talking to one of the CXOs. Now again, it's an open secret, nothing new. Now they say that we do not do any innovation right now. So we actually ignite a lot of startup companies. They work with a lot of startups and enable them and catalyze them. So let them come up with the innovations, what can be done, what not.
Right.
So huge. I should say they have a bucket of startup ecosystems that they work with.
Right.
And the key innovation has to happen from the startup thing.
Right.
And that's why I think we do not expect large dramatic changes or innovations to happen from the government or from the private sector. But I think a lot of focus are there on the startup things, how new things will come up, how new ways of healthcare innovations, or in terms of healthcare delivery, or in terms of innovation, in terms of whatever the medical things can come up. I think that's it. And again, it all starts with the technology. Could be even app development also. For instance, again, let me quickly highlight one thing I've seen last year in Barcelona. So in 5G, using 5G technology in telecom, which is coming up, which is not there. Now, one doctor using the 5G connectivity, he has done a remote operation sitting in Barcelona when a patient is in US. Right? So those kind of things are again, these are all pilot cases, and these are coming up. But let's see how the things unfold. But opportunities remain. So primarily the motivation remains with the startups and the new companies, because a lot of focus on them to come up with the solution.
What are the few areas where Indian startups, especially as Indian startups are known for their technical competency, especially in terms of AI, ML, NLP, image processing and all?
Yeah, some of the basic things, of course, you see, in today's context, I'll tell you now, today myself or anyone, there's no single source of data, just a very simple. So I go to many doctors, many hospitals, even so that just patient data, having a patient data together in one single place could be a very rudimentary thing. But I think that's one I think Google tried some time back, but because of the regulatory issues and other stuff. But I think if suppose Rajiv Bose, if I have a one patient ID XYZ, and whether I go to Lal Path Lab or to Max or to this thing, or if my parents goes or my children. So I think if people can have a one patient ID, again, just thinking aloud because of some discussions that happened. So that's one of the possible ways of at least collating the data of individual patients. So that's one. And second, now we have huge amount of data.
Right.
Now, I don't think, and again, people are trying, hospitals are trying, government are trying, but again, because of the regulatory issues, confidentiality issues, because of this is all patient data. Now, leveraging this data, getting a lot of information out of this data, I think remains a huge opportunity, so that we get the meaning and we get the some kind of diagnosis and all the stuff. And at some point from IBM, the Watson Health was extremely promising in terms of playing around with the data, because that helps the doctors to come to the conclusion rather than just doing anything with the data. So it's all about enabling the doctor, helping the doctor come up with some more diagnosis based on the data for the hundreds and thousands of patients. So those kind of things are coming up. But again, a lot of new applications are coming up, can come up with signal, because for instance, during the COVID crisis, what has come up is a thermometer. Suddenly, everywhere, anywhere you go, they check your temperature. And you may not have to buy something, maybe just your mobile application can give I think maybe quite decent or somewhat near accurate kind of info. So a lot of these things can come up. I know in some of the cases, now for the eye checkup, the magnifying, these things are quite powerful. Now they're coming up with some new apps which can give some quite authentic, they can get inside the cornea views and other stuff, some remote doctors can happen. But you see, in India, one thing is with a socialistic mindset, with a lot of poor patients coming up, I think that's one of the key focus areas remain.
Right. We'll see digital transformation even on the regulation side.
Absolutely. Because I think that's one of the extremely positive side of the COVID crisis. And what I understand recently in the US also, the FDA, they've given some quick approvals for a lot of new drugs, new experimentations, which earlier were taking years after years. So yes, regulation is killing us right now. And again, people have different views because when we're talking about, because in India also there's an app called the Arogya Setu, so that people can understand about the other, the vicinity, based on the vicinity of the other patient. So a lot of privacy data are there. Now there's always some group which are against this government surveillance, sharing of your personal data. Now, those conflicts will be there, but I'm sure going forward, the government will be playing a significantly easy role in terms of the regulation, in terms of privacy in terms of relaxing of the privacy norms of the data. So I think dramatic changes definitely will come in the regulatory, because I think when the citizens, when the users are at the center of the whole crisis, I think those issues definitely will become less rigid going forward, and that's a huge positive, or rather silver lining, in terms of the entire healthcare segment, because so far what we know now, they play always some kind of dramatically, in terms of resistance in a lot of innovations that's happening, because it's what regulator will say, what they will say. But yeah, I think that's a huge boost for the entire healthcare economy going forward in the post-COVID.
Because you're associated with the startup ecosystem in and around Delhi, so what's your advice to them? To stay on the sidelines, or jump in, or grab the opportunities?
Yes. So thanks for raising. Yes, because you see, in the startups, there are two extreme issues. One is, for many of the companies, is a survival issue. It's an existential threat for many of them. Yes, that is a real threat. That is a real threat for those companies which do not have any much revenue as of now. That's a real threat. That's one. So again, I think a lot of people are giving the GAN, so nothing new. So my quick GAN is that, one, if you have cash, now preserve the cash and extend the runway. If you have cash for 2 months, try to make it for 4 months. If you have cash for 5 months, make it for 7 months, like that. So that's existential survival is very important. Second point, now the entire economy will bounce back. And I was seeing one McKinsey report for India, and the bounce back they're showing is it will go for almost like 3 quarters or maybe 4 quarters. After there's a V curve. The bounce back will be dramatic, it's like a hockey stick or a V curve. It will happen. And if you're looking forward to that bounce back journey, and you have to stay put in your game, what you're doing. So never give up hope. And you see, it's a difference between the boys and the men. Those who give up right now, it's but right now, after that, it's golden days will. And there's a pent-up demand. There's a tidal wave of demand that will be coming. And you have to take advantage of that demand. And that's why just maybe people have to wait for patiently for the Q1 of next year at the most, and the dramatic shift will happen. And there lies a big opportunity, because you see, today we might have not seen the worst yet. The worst may yet to come. But yes, the storm will definitely be done. So my advice to the startup is that, one, just survive the system, extend the runway, but definitely good days are going to come. And again, you see, in today's world also, and again, other than healthcare, today's world also, so whenever you see the customer appetite, because you see, as I mentioned, healthcare is an important thing, and someone has to do the blood test, and someone has to visit a doctor. And if those startups in that area, there's a dramatic opportunity. Now you have to stay put and try to milk the opportunity right now. And those things, they're doing some innovations and other stuff, it will take some time. So it takes some time, but yes, in whatever crisis, some opportunities are there. I'll tell you one different example altogether. And again, I'm not naming the client. It's an airlines industry. Even airlines is totally shut globally, zero revenue, no customer. But still, some of the big players, they're getting into the automation business, because right now, going forward, when the things recover, automation will play a dramatic role. A lot of the processes will become intelligent and automated, so that going forward, they can maneuver the process whatever way. So it's not just sitting idle. So my GAN and my advice to the startups and the people, the young people, don't get impatient, don't get threatened, survive the storm, and then I think dramatic days are going to come.
Okay. Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your thoughts.
Thanks, Pavan. Thank you.